Exactly. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm looking for interpreters. Are there any? Oh, Stephen, I see you. Hi, Stephen. Welcome. Perfect. So I knew we do have a couple of our deaf and hard of hearing faculty in the room today. So want to make sure. So for those of you who want to, welcome everybody to No One is Going to Save You, presented by Bitwise Industries. That they are not just a community partner, they are also a Fresno City College partner. I believe we held classes there, and I know they've just really stepped up ever since COVID happened, delivering groceries, paying for groceries. But Chanel Charest is going to explain all that to you. If you want to see Chanel, the interpreter's spot screen has been pinned, but if you want to see Chanel, all you need to go is go to the top, and right next to her picture, her video, her name, it comes up as a little blue dot, I think, and you can pin her video. And Stephen, do you know if you're the only interpreter for the session?
There is another team that will be joining. So there should be.
Do you happen to know his name, her name?
Let me, 1 minute, please. Let me check.
Is it Darcy?
I believe the name is Luz. Luz should be joining me.
Oh, okay, Luz. I know Luz.
That's the second interpreter will be joining.
I don't know her, but I've worked with her a couple times today and yesterday. Okay, it looks like she's not here yet, but we're going to go ahead and get started anyhow, because she'll be joining us. And as I understand it, Stephen, it's 20-minute intervals, and then you switch, correct?
Yeah, 20 minutes, that's fine.
Fantastic. Okay, so let me introduce you, Chanel Charest from Bitwise Industries.
Great. Hello, everyone. Thanks for spending your Friday afternoon with me in all of your homes, because we can't actually be together. So appreciate the Zoom time. I know that that gets tiring as well. I am the Executive Director of Growth for Bitwise Industries. So that means basically I manage all of our expansion city projects. I started out with Bitwise on the commercial real estate side. So I was doing commercial leasing for them as they expanded in Fresno. So when we negotiated the Fresno City contract, that was a big part of my work. And so super excited about that partnership. I also am a Fresno City College alumnus. I have a associate's degree in business, and then I went on to Fresno State and completed a fine arts degree. So I have a lot of love for Fresno City. It gave me a ton of great experience and just was awesome. Had some of my best education there. So super excited to talk to you guys. I would like to say that if there are questions throughout, I let Susie know that feel free to put those questions in the chat box and she'll facilitate that. Or if she's unmuting you, that's also fine. This will be not super formal because it feels already difficult to connect over Zoom. And so I'd rather just kind of be a little bit more open forum than normal. So Bitwise Industries as a whole, if you guys aren't familiar, is a tech ecosystem or a tech hub in Fresno, California, or based in Fresno, California. And now we are located in multiple cities throughout the Central Valley. We have been around since 2013, so we're 7 years old. And we started with a team of two, Jake Soberall and Irma Olguin Jr. You can look them up. They're probably the most opposite two humans that you've ever seen in your whole life, but they are our co-founders and our co-CEOs. They started with Hashtag Project, which is our co-working space that still exists today. It's unfortunately not active in this COVID time, but it is one of the biggest community development programs and businesses that we have. So they actually met at the original Hashtag in the Tower District and talked about basically how do we help Fresno be the best possible place to exist. And both of them are from the area. Irma's from Carruthers, Jake is from Clovis. And so they have Valley roots. They both went away to college. Jake was at UNC and Irma was at Toledo. So pretty far. And then they came back and interacted with each other. I think the story goes that Jake was Irma's IP attorney when she was writing some original code. And she said, hey, do you really want to be an attorney? Because I think I got a gig for you. And she's been known to be a life disruptor and someone who comes in and says, hey, you might be doing this one thing, but let me tell you about this other thing I got going on. So they talked about Fresno and kind of the issues that they saw growing up. And Irma comes from a farming family, right, in Carruthers. So she grew up rolling raisins and working on farms and recycling cans and figuring out a way to survive. And Jake comes from a more affluent, middle-class Clovis family, but they saw the need to connect Valley talent with the larger picture of technology on a global scale. So how do we get a place like Fresno, which isn't considered to be a tech hub, in the mix of all the great things that are happening with technology? Because technology as an industry is one of the quickest growing, also most stable. Something that, as we've seen in COVID specifically, continues to grow economically. I mean, you look at the stock market for Amazon and Apple and all of their startups, and it's just growing. Bitwise has also experienced some of that, thankfully, because we are in the industry. And so we've been able to do a lot of hiring, a lot of growth, and those kinds of things. So really that was the problem that they were looking to solve, was how do we give folks who don't have the opportunity to learn tech? And it also, technology as a field has been primarily white, right? It is not diverse. It is not showing all of the great kind of representation, especially in this country, of different cultures, different backgrounds. And so that was another big key, was saying, how do we actually show equal representation in an industry and give people opportunity to really elevate themselves and their families and just their own abilities, who haven't been given those opportunities. And so that was kind of the impetus of Bitwise. It started with GeekWise Academy, which is where the partnership with Fresno City College comes in. That is our educational wing of Bitwise. And so we pretty much teach anyone and everyone how to code if they're interested. So there's no age barrier. There's no socioeconomic barrier. There's no pre-education requirement to get into our program. So we have students ranging from the age of 11 years old to 70 years old, all in the same class based off of their actual understanding of technology. And we start those courses at a really basic level, and then we go up to a really elevated coding language level. So they are stackable. They're meant to be taken one after the other. But what's really interesting is that we have a cohort program that comes alongside that. And our cohorts are basically apprenticeships. So they're folks that are working on real-time projects for real companies, whether that's a Bitwise company or an outside private entity, maybe it's a government entity, really anyone that has a technology problem or needs a software development firm, we can actually create these cohorts, these internships around those projects. So part of our latest endeavor and what kind of has really spun up in the last couple of months is building these cohorts to work on company projects and taking students who have experience in technology but maybe haven't entered into the workforce and mixing those two together to provide immediate jobs. All of our internships, our cohort programs, are paid internships. All of our entry-level classes start at $250 a class. Majority of them are scholarshiped. So if you need additional funding help, that is super available to you. We also have a ton of counselors on site and student success specialists who work with individual students on their kind of the barriers that they encounter in their life. So we had a cohort that was all single moms. So single moms deal with different roadblocks than those that are previously incarcerated, which was another specific group that we actually brought in to do a cohort program. So the idea is that we're removing those life barriers or help work through those life barriers in order to get to the success in education. Because really, people are able to learn, but the life barriers are the things that keep them from really excelling or succeeding in a lot of these arenas. And the goal too is, again, to focus on a diverse workforce, not taking the same folks from the Ivy League college or from a traditional background, and making tech more inclusive, because also technology is what drives our kind of world today. And so having multiple voices represent and present in that arena is super essential to us evolving as a culture and as a community. And so that's kind of Geekwise Academy. Fresno City College came in with some of their technical classes as well, and basically hosted them in one of our classroom spaces. And so what it did was allow our students and Fresno City College students to interact and see each other. Like, oh, I can take a class in a space like this, or, oh, there's a city college that's offering these kinds of technical classes that I could expand upon in my own, you know, educational journey. So there was a lot of cross collaboration. Also with our buildings, we have technical companies that are present. And so students are able to interact with actual software development teams. And we see a lot of folks actually circle back around, a lot of tenants circle back around to Geekwise Academy and say, hey, I'm hiring, you know, this level of full stack developer, or I need an entry level IT person. Who can I hire from this group that would be really great for my company? And because we have a relationship with them as a tenant, we're able to understand their business profile, how they facilitate an office, maybe what demographics are already represented within their organization, and kind of help them fit that need in a much more seamless way. And when students are getting ready to get that first job and like enter into the workforce, making that seamless and fun and positive gives them a whole new level of acceptance of self and like motivation to do the next thing. Because that process, you know, I feel like I'm, I don't know, 35 now, like old for my, it feels old sometimes. But I remember going to get that first job out of college, and it was terrifying. And I feel like I came from a background with parents who went to college, who got jobs, who did that process. So I had some support, I had some encouragement, I had some guidance. So many students do not. And so if we can help them in that process, I think that's a big lift. And it gives them room also to give feedback and say, hey, this didn't go so well, or I'm having a struggle with a coworker, or my boss is doing this and I'm not sure how to respond to that. We keep them in our network and in relationships with counselors and student success specialists over the course of their kind of life. Essentially, we have students that have gone away and done boot camps in the Bay Area, come back and say, hey, I'm now ready to look for like a full-time position. They get in contact with us. We then send them out to our networks who are requesting for developers. And so that door is always open. Once you're a Geekwise student, you're forever a Geekwise student. So I think that is also something that's really unique. And then because of our partnerships with you all and with Fresno State and Fresno Pacific, there's just a much bigger network for growth and education and understanding. And so Shift 3 Technologies is the second wing of Bitwise. That is our technology hub software development firm. We actually work on global projects. We do enterprise solutions as well as custom app and software builds for a small business, or really any creative idea that someone wants to come in and test. And so that's probably the majority of our workforce at the current moment. So we have over 100 folks within that specific business, including project managers, developers, managers. We have an entire branding team that exists for just our software building component. But students are able to do their internships through Shift 3 Technologies in a lot of cases. So the Shift 3 organization, our business development team, will go out and win those projects. So win the work from other corporations. And then a cohort will be built around a specific project or ask, and then managed alongside professional developers, professional project managers, and then the Shift 3 business development person that sold the project. So that also allows them to see kind of how business is orchestrated in the software development arena. So they're dealing with a project manager, they're dealing with managers above the developers, and kind of understanding, how do I actually come into the workforce and complete a project? So we've gotten to work on some pretty amazing stuff. Recently, we had a partnership with Essence Magazine. And so we have some folks out of Oakland that are an all Black cohort. And they have been specifically designated to work on this Essence build, which is really amazing because they resonate with the actual project. They know the work, they know the owners, they understand the overall goals of the company, and they have this pride about working for something that feels really close to their own heart. And so that's been super fun to watch, so much growth, and we're looking to be inspiring. I think having the opportunity for people to work on projects that make them feel excited. I mean, you guys are teachers. Like, I feel like your students, I was, as a student, way more excited when I thought the project was cool. It was like, oh, well, this is amazing. So I'm hoping that, that would be inspiring to them as well. And so we do see a lot of that. And technology in itself, lends itself to every arena. There's no marketplace that doesn't really need tech solution. So we're able to touch a lot of things, which is really great. And then the third component of Bitwise is place. So you guys may or may not have seen the wildly painted buildings in downtown Fresno, but we have 4 currently. So South Stadium, we have the Hive, we have Bitwise 41, and then State Center Warehouse is in development currently. And so we have basically created this pathway, this campus, for everyone to kind of go from building to building. So the idea is, as a tenant and as a student, you may take classes or use specific facilities in all of the locations. We don't want people to be restricted. We want them to feel free to go from place to place, to be in a spot that's inspiring, maybe to connect with other businesses that they wouldn't have connected with before. Pre-COVID, we did 15 to 20 public-facing events a week, including meetups, speaking engagements, geek nights, which included other parts of the community, like the arts community, the hackerspace community, the robot building community, which is super amazing. And so now, because of all of that, I think that kind of leads into this next phase, which is now we're in COVID. And so how do we create a sense of community and belonging and growth without ever seeing each other in person? How do we hire folks without being able to watch them interact in a team environment or watch them interact with folks around them? And we have had to pivot insanely hard. I mean, 1/3 of our business was focused on outward facing community. That is no longer present. And so we want to be able to sustain that and then build the next layer of whatever needs to happen in order for us to feel successful, and to keep projects going, to keep people employed, to keep others interested and engaged and moving forward in education, and to keep the mission of bringing equality to the technology industry moving forward as well, because it is one of the only industries that's growing at such a rapid rate currently. And so what we did was we created initiatives. We started strike teams, which means, so for me personally, my job was an expansion, meaning I was traveling, for 4 days out of the week to other cities, visiting other cities, meeting people, having in-person conversations. That's not happening. I can't get on a plane. I can't drive, a couple states over, because I can't meet with people in person, and I can't visit, with companies, other than through something like this, which is not even close to the same. And so what happened was I got switched over to a program called Take Care. Take Care was our grocery delivery program. And basically that was started as a philanthropic effort for us to get food to people who needed it. We saw that a lot of folks were in a panicked place. And then at the start of the pandemic, elderly, immunocompromised, folks with students or folks with kids, you weren't supposed to leave your house. You weren't supposed to go grocery shopping. You were supposed to avoid all public gatherings. And so we feel, as a community partner and as just a company that is meant to be representing the best kind of position for folks in the city, and being supportive of folks in the city, that this was actually an essential need that we needed to meet. So we started with just a post on social media, and my executive assistant, Chris, actually got switched over to leading our intake and dispatch team. So he became a leader really, really quickly in a short amount of time. We built a custom software solution through Salesforce in order to take in requests from people and then be able to execute on delivery. And at this point, we have delivered over, I think it's 14,000 boxes to folks in need in the area, which is super exciting. And we have partnerships with the Central California Food Bank, with neighborhood industries, and now we are looking actually at additional sources of funding to be able to keep those programs going. And we are also at a point where we are selling the software to other food banks and to other entities around the country. So that's one initiative that kind of was in response to COVID and is still going, because COVID is still going. Also because we're in a food desert. And in this place of agriculture, we actually have access to so much of the farming community that food waste shouldn't necessarily be happening where we're at. So we're looking at last mile approaches to delivery and last mile connections to folks in rural communities. Food is not something we did before this. So in a matter of months, we shifted some of our core business over to a completely different marketplace. And I think that agile and also aware behavior is something that technology really lends itself to, but you also have to have teams that are willing to be on that journey with you. I tell people all the time when I'm doing hiring and interviewing that if you can't, be really excited about the wild, wild west and constant change, and maybe you're not going to do the job that you were doing yesterday tomorrow, this might not be the place for you, because it really does change that quickly. A second one of our initiatives is called Onward California, or Onward US. I think the governor has done a few mentions of it in his briefings over the last couple of months. And that was really because we saw such a huge downturn in workforce development. Folks were losing their jobs quicker than we could get them reassigned to somewhere else, but we were seeing that companies that were growing in the tech industry were needing to hire. And there just wasn't a solution to get folks who were, losing their employment to those jobs quick enough. And so that's how Onward US and Onward California came to be. It also was in response to the huge hit the restaurant and hospitality industry took. So we know a lot of folks that originally were using our platform called Order Slip, which is still out in the world and doing a lot. That's an online ordering platform. It's a white label application, meaning that restaurants who sign up for it can make it look like their own. So when you go to the app store, you're not downloading, DoorDash, you're downloading Kiku, for example, is one of or Butterfish, or any of the other local named restaurants. And so what we did was make that application free for anyone who wanted to download it. So any restaurant anywhere who wanted to switch to takeout and online ordering could have that option available to them for free. And that was pretty early on. It was before Instagram had kind of changed their model, before DoorDash had made some of their concessions. And what we're seeing right now is that some of those concessions are being rolled back. And so we're looking at ways where we can continue to allow restaurants and hospitality industry to have that for free, because it's done a lot of damage. I think a report recently said that the last couple of months have done 5 years of economic recession. And so like 5 months, every time we hit another month of this pandemic, we're losing 1 year of economic growth in this country. And so paying attention to what trends we can actually help with and participate in is something that we're really focused on as well. And that does connect with the Onward California and Onward US platform, because a lot of those folks who are losing employment are from the hospitality and restaurant industry. And so to be able to give them multiple ways of connecting to technology and advancing their business, or helping their employees find new employment and keep things going forward is super, super important. Our newest initiative, because we clearly just have nothing else to do at the moment, is called Pod Up Now. And that is actually a program that we created because a lot of our employees are full-time working parents with kids. And this time for parents with children in elementary school and in junior high, this is scary because they have been trying to work remote, and the summer feels maybe a little bit normal because kids are normally, you know, out of school for the summer, but now they're out of the school for the rest of the year. So how do parents and families really adjust long-term to this pandemic? And so Pod Up Now is a way for folks to get connected with other people in their community who have similar, you know, kind of things in place during this pandemic. So there is a certain level of questionnaire so that people feel like they're connecting with folks who maybe have a similar situation that they do. That would be really good to share time with and space with. And it gives parents the ability to not only get their kids together with other children and socialize and kind of meet that need, which is very apparent, but it also gives them space to find breaks throughout this process, which we're also seeing is super, super important. So if there are any questions on any of those things, feel free, drop them in. I'm happy to answer. But that has kind of been our response to the pandemic. And the reason I named the talk today, No One Is Coming to Save You, is not to be like super doomsday or not like appreciate the fact that, you know, there's also faith in this world and that there are things at work ahead of us. And I believe that there's good everywhere. But the fact is that I think we've relied on so many systems in so many ways to take care of certain things. And this pandemic has broken those systems, things that we've relied on for a really long time and have kind of shaped and formed our life around them. And that phrase is not an original to me. It is actually from Irma. And that's what she tells our teams when we're in these really sticky, tough places is, hey, no one's gonna come save you. Like no one's gonna come solve that problem for you. You got to get creative. You got to start thinking about the ways in which you can start to make change and let go of the things that aren't working and look for new things that could. Challenge your own ideals, challenge your own way of adapting to what's happening right now. And so I felt like that was really relevant because I think education on the whole is really it's a tough one. I have so many great friends who are teachers. I've done guest lectures before, and the in-person part of education is just crucial. Before this pandemic, we did not offer any of our Geekwise programs online because we believe in the in-person component of education and that the real human contact is essential to strong learning. But that's not available to us anymore. And so it's kind of that idea, well, no one's coming to save you. So what are you going to do in order to keep this going forward? What are the changes you're going to make? What are you going to try? That's something that you've never even thought you would need to try, you know, before this time. And so that has been something that we have been dealing with, and I'm sure you all have been dealing with as well. But it is when people say we're all in this together, it feels like, yeah, I think we're all trying to solve the same problems. It doesn't feel as comforting, I think, as it did in the beginning. I think people are getting tired of this experience. People are worn down. There's a lot of exhaustion, frustration, stress as as we look at kind of the political climate, as we look at, unemployment benefits not being available, coming up here, there are some really traumatic things that are happening in the world. And there's a certain level of responsibility as a business to be mindful and smart and capable. But then there's also this mindfulness as a human being to say, like, well, what is the real benefit of what we're producing? And like, is this really going to change things or move the needle in the way that we said we wanted it to happen when we originally set our goals? And so recently too, and this is kind of just a company note, but our executive team met and said, hey, like, I think that part of it is that there are all these pressure valves that are turned up really, really high right now, especially with parents trying to navigate work and get their kids into whatever school is going to look like. How do we minimize that? How do we help with that? Pot up was one solution, but then also the other solution was saying, I think we're going to need to drop our expectation of productivity to like 80%, maybe 75. And that was a company-wide decision saying like, okay, maybe you were executing on this much. We're only going to expect you to execute on this much. And that allowed for parents, families, teams to completely recalibrate. I will say, we haven't figured it out. We're not all the way there yet. But it is something that feels like a next step in a way that most people don't expect from companies. I didn't expect it. Like that never seems like the answer is do less work. Like do less work. We're going to pay you the same, spend more time away from your job. Like do that. And it's like, what? Like no one understands. That doesn't make any sense. But truly, when you think about the time that you spend when we were going to work and away from the things that we maybe feel like drained by throughout the day, it's such a different experience now. And we're not able to get the excitement from the things that we experienced out in the world. We're not able to interact on the human level that maybe was life-giving or allowed for more clarity. And so it's almost like giving the individual more space to find their new route, their new path, their new way of existing. Especially for us as a company, we decided to go completely remote for the rest of the year. So we're not coming back. We're all going to be remote. And in doing that, that means other things have to change because we can't exist in the world that existed before that. So it's been insane, to say the least. I feel like you guys are all in my living room. I didn't do anything different than I do any other day. My background, like this used to be my kitchen, and it's like, or my dining room. I don't need a dining room, I need an office, because like truly I'll eat on the coffee table, and this needs to be a space where I can work because that's where I spend majority of my time. And that shift was hard at first. I think I resisted it for like a month and a half of like, but I don't want to change like my space. I created it as an oasis, as a space where I would leave work and come and be present with my own life. And now that has completely merged. So I've had to reevaluate just my own existence in terms of how do I function in and out of work and still make space to be creative, still make space to think through hard problems, and just make space to like breathe. I've never meditated so much as I have during this time. I've never done as much yoga. Like this is just it, like all the mental practices I think are coming into play in such a meaningful way. But I'm the type of person that's pretty resistant. Like I like change. I like the power of change and moving really fast. This time does not allow you to move that fast. Like pretty much I'm standing in the same place. I think that Susie and I were talking about like in a normal day, we would put in X number of steps, just moving from thing to thing, from room to room, from office to office. Now it's like we're sitting in the same chair for how many hours? And you have to remind yourself to get up and go walk somewhere. And it's like, that was never true before this happened. I feel like a lot of my professors and teachers in college, one of my favorite things was when they would move around the classroom, like they're talking to individual students and like being charismatic and showing energy. And it's like, man, how do you translate that over a screen? How do I, when we can't even move around, when I'm limited to this box that you're seeing here, like how do we actually instill that in folks? And so yeah, I feel like the challenges are still there. And in college, sometimes you do remote learning. Sometimes you take an online class. Sometimes you have a class that you're not able to go to. And that tends to be a little bit more common, but I still think we're dealing with the same struggle of like, there's a reason I want to go to this university, to be in this place, to see these people, to have this experience, and that's no longer there either. And so how do we create spaces for folks to have experiences that are meaningful, and also give a lot of grace for this time? Like maybe we don't accomplish as much as we thought we would this year. Maybe we don't achieve as much as we thought we would this year, but maybe we find a more holistic way of existence and find the things that are important and recalibrate as a culture, as a society, as individuals, in a way that allows us once the world kind of opens back up again, to face it with even more passion and even more excitement and engagement, because we're appreciating the things that we didn't have for such a long time. And so that's me being eternally optimistic. My therapist would tell me that's a really positive attitude to have. But I think that that's, a reminder every day is like, man, this won't last forever, but the world that we re-enter into will not be the same world we left behind either. So how do we prepare ourselves to enter into that world with the best possible scenario and the best mindset and the most opportunities for not just ourselves, but for those around us, including in the education space and including in the community building space. So that's a little bit about where we're at. And I know that I had a long time. So I feel like that's kind of it. I have a little checklist here from Susie, I think originally. So I think that we have a lot of resources through the programs that I mentioned that we started. We also have some Geekwise resources as well. You guys can reach out at any point. We have info emails for Bitwise, Geekwise, Shift3, PodUp, Take Care, Onward California, Onward US, the whole nine. They all have their own teams. They have their own info spaces. And if any of those pieces or components sounded interesting to you, or you just want to learn more about it for anyone in your life, for yourself, or just to kind of have an understanding of maybe where the potential could go, please reach out. We really are only as good as the participation that happens in this time. Like, if we build a really cool tech product and no one uses it, who cares? Like, that doesn't solve any problems. So we would love feedback in this process as well. PodUp was stood up in like a week. Like, that seems to be the tendency for us, is we're standing up these new initiatives in about a week's time and then putting them out in the world and seeing how effective they are. And so, so would love to get any of your feedback from those items. I think my personal email is also somewhere in the mix. Feel free to reach out to me anytime as well. Clearly stuck in this box, but happy to hear more about what you folks are doing. And I think that, like, as we venture into this online teaching space, which we are doing, like Geekwise is ready to kind of experiment to see, like, is this going to be something we can do? We have amazing folks that are kind of testing the waters as well. And so if you'd like to be connected with our educational component folks and just kind of brainstorm or ask questions about the different technology solutions that we've tried, the things that maybe haven't worked for us in the past, those doors are always open as well. I think that that's, like, even more now, being a connected community is going to allow us to move through this a little bit easier when you don't have to try and fail all on your own all the time, because that gets exhausting as well. Yes.
So we have an event website for our Flex Day, and all of your information, your email, all your social media, Bitwise Industries website has all been loaded into the event website. So they have all your information, so they know how to get a hold of you. And we have a couple questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
From the audience. Aaron has a question. Aaron, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask Chanel your question.
All right. Thank you, Chanel, for being with us. Two quick questions. First of all, can you repeat how many boxes of food you said you delivered? It was a huge number, and I'm trying. You said 40,000 or 400,000?
So we, at this point, have done over, well, when we stopped tracking the project, it was like 12,000. Right now we're up to, well, that was in the first 3 months. We did 12,000 in the first 3 months. And now we're doing approximately 1,500 a week.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Wow. And then, thank you. When you were talking about developing things like PodUp or the websites or apps for the food banks and the restaurants and so forth, is that something that Bitwise as a company is developing, or are you partnering with the companies that are working at your sites, the private individual companies that are working with you? How are these things developed?
Yeah, so they actually are being developed through Bitwise. And then we are using our cohort program as a means of doing workforce development at the same time. So that allows us to get more of our students into that internship level to get paid through the process. And then depending on the complexity or level of development, we can partner with outside firms, but because we move so quickly, that tends to be less common of an option. But we are doing it in-house and then using the cohort program as a means of workforce development.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Erin. Marjorie has a question. Marjorie, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, so I have two questions. One is, I'm gonna introduce you to my daughter. Come here. So her name is Alohi. She's Alohi Lani, and she loves to code. She have a coding class at one time, and we've been having a hard time finding a coding class because she's just turning 10.
Okay.
And there's so many available like in Facebook, but we just didn't know. So when you mentioned that you have like 11 years old,
Yeah.
we wanted to know for her. That was
Yeah.
the first question. The second question is, I'm really, one of the things that I really do for my student is that if I see potentials in them, I teach Photo 5, Introduction to Photography.
Amazing.
So it's a very broad, like a lot of people are not going to be photographer. You can go sit down if you want to sit.
She's like, okay, mom.
If I see potentials, because you know, in intro to photography, not all of them wanting to be a photographer. It's a general ed class and they just have an iPhone, half of them, and just wanting to take pictures. But sometimes I see potentials in different students, right? So I wanted to know what is the more information that I could give them, or at least a website that I could push, the best website that I could push them, because the Bitwise website doesn't have classes there right now.
Yeah, that's where we're kind of switching into the online programming, which hasn't officially started for Geekwise yet. But I would say if you have students that you feel like, no, this would be something that could work for them to reach out to the info email and just say, hey, I'm really interested in this. Like, this is kind of my background. Maybe they want to learn online marketing. Maybe they're just interested in finding out what the opportunities will be in the future. And we have individual counselors and student success specialists that will talk to them one-on-one and get them kind of engaged in the process, so that even if there is a, because sometimes we'll have a specialized course that pops up. And so if we understand who that person is and their background and where they come from, then they could qualify for a course that we're not going to list on our website because it's a more specialized program. So the best way is for them to get in contact and just say, hey, I just want to learn more. I want to be on, lists for upcoming programs. And then that way we'll stay in touch with them through that process.
Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Karen, I see that you typed in the chat that you'd like to talk to Chanel. Would you like to ask a question?
Let me unmute. Hi, Chanel. I've been waiting all day for your workshop because Jake is my neighbor.
Oh my goodness.
And he is the most community-oriented, innovative person I've ever met. And I was really looking forward to this workshop. Thank you.
Oh, good.
I work and have always I've taught in special programs at Fresno City, at-risk programs. Mm-hmm. And so I just thought of, maybe there's a way that we can connect some of our programs with some of the Bitwise projects.
Yes.
So, who would I talk to about that?
So that would be Geekwise again. And just, you can even reference like that you came to this, workshop, and that you heard about the specialized courses and specialized programming that then assists with the cohort program. And Danita Ramos is our executive director. She would probably be the best person to talk to. So even if you reach out to me, you can send me an email, say, hey, this is Karen. Can you connect me to Danita? And I can actually make that direct connection if you'd like, and that'll just save everyone some time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course. That sounds awesome.
Any other questions?
What are you guys looking for actually moving into online teaching? And are you looking at specific softwares, or where are you guys at on that?
Yeah, all of the above. So specific software, specific kind of like level of interaction. We've tried this product called Miro, if you're familiar with that. It's almost like a live whiteboard that has the ability for multiple people to be on screen at the same time, moving in real time, changing their views and moving things around, but you're actually doing it in an interactive way. It almost feels like a video game, but it's not. So it's really smart technology, but used to facilitate more group dynamic type programming, and then experimenting with literally every video software, every different kind of camera, like the whole nine. And so it's, I think we're still in a pretty serious testing phase, but if you guys want to get just even a list of the things that our IT team and like CTO has tried, that's something we can definitely send over, or the direction that we're heading. So looking at ways in which we can keep people interactive. We also, our events team, the Pulse team is hosting something called No Place Like Home. So it's like a virtual event essentially that happens all day. And we're testing out some different technologies there as well. So they're meant to be more interactive and more of a like experience based platform. So if you guys want to check that out, we'll be doing another session of that in November. And so that will pop up also just to be able to see what the different variety of interactive kind of components are. And again, if you have specific questions or you want to be connected with someone on the team who's already doing that, feel free to reach out to me and I will connect you directly to the folks who are actually kind of doing the trial process.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Darcy has a question.
Yes, I do. I'm just going to put this as interpreter. I'm going to put her full screen so I can see her.
Sure.
You know what I can do? I can zoom in. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We just had to give the interpreter some time to get that set up. Something I've been thinking about, IT and technology. For the deaf community, there's a lag time. And so that's something that's on my mind constantly. I have a hard time finding the right people to develop ideas that we have from our community, if you know what I'm talking about. So is your group of people able to help us out? For example, something I've always wanted was to have a robot that I could use to provide interpreting services. I don't have to wait for any service. It's something that I could just take with me when I'm shopping or out in the community. Some kind of a device that would be able to interpret to the hearing public for me, not something that I have to, use through an iPhone. Is Bitwise able to develop a robot technology that would provide interpreting services like I described to you?
I think that would be amazing. We do have deaf students participating in some of our GeekWise classes. So I think that we're always thinking of the best way to integrate technology and every part of our population. So what would be really cool is if you feel compelled to connect with someone from GeekWise to just talk through where you see the biggest gaps being and maybe what the simplest solution to start with could be. And we could kind of integrate that into one of our robotics programs. So actually like starting with the concept and idea and understanding like, these are the actual needs. So what is the actual response? Like because for those of us that are hearing, right, like we can guess, but we're not gonna know. Like that's not gonna be the reality, right? And so for the deaf community to actually represent and say, this is what we want, that's the best solution. So I would love it if you send an email and we could connect, and that would be amazing.
Thank you, Darcy. Any other questions for Chanel?
Erin, I just want to say that your little friend is amazing. So this is the best.
Thank you. You're talking about trying to do work with kids running around in the house, and that's the daily reality here for sure.
It is the life that I don't have kids. I'm an auntie and it's the best. But my entire team, in fact, one of my VPs in Bakersfield just gave birth to twins today. So like life is going on. Families are growing. I love it. It makes me really happy actually to see that. And it seems like she's maybe enjoying the background also that you have, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, she's popping in and out, but learning about even sign language here and how that works. So that's exciting.
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
It's amazing. Glad to see you guys. Oh, hey, Tim. I just saw you on my screen.
Good to see you, Chanel. And if it hasn't come out in the presentation, you are simply phenomenal. The energy and what you're doing for the community is so important. And just you're loved and appreciated.
Thank you. Well, I could not have built the partnership with Fresno City without you. So Tim was a huge force behind the collaboration of Geekwise and FCC. So love back at you, Tim, for real.
Thank you, Tim. We have a question from Polly. Polly, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, I teach group communication, and last semester I had 2 classes of group communication, and with the sudden change from in-person to an online format, I struggled greatly. They found out very quickly that any kind of group texting didn't work very well. They worked with Zoom to a certain extent, but I think you mentioned this a little bit. It just wasn't as dynamic and connected as they wanted to be or as they had in the in-person class. Now, fortunately, I'm not teaching group communication this semester, but I'll be back to it in the spring. If we're online in the spring, do you have any suggestions to teach group communication?
Yeah, how large is the group generally? Is it a full class size? Oh, maybe she froze.
Holly, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Yeah. I mean, she looks great out in the sun, so that's nice.
You're still muted. We can't hear you. That's the famous 2020 line, right?
Oh, we can't get away from it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I was unmuted. I don't know, maybe I'm just cutting out.
That's okay. So just, I asked just what the class size was or the group size that you're looking to do.
The students, it's 32 students in a class and between 5 to 7 in each group.
And 5 to 7 in each group. And what is the desired goal? Like what is the best outcome in that situation?
The best outcome? Well, in a typical in-person class, the groups essentially take over the class. I run it in a type of business model. I have a quality team. I have a team building group. I have a news group, you know, I mean, so by the end of the semester, they're running the class and then doing other group projects to explore different group communication concepts and theories as well.
Amazing. I think that there's actually a few options. I would love it if you're interested in connecting after, since you're not teaching it this semester. I could kind of give you a running list of all the programs depending on group size and then like intention of program of what, because all of our cohorts are similar size, anywhere from like 6 to 12 usually, and they have to do a lot of group communication and program building and that kind of thing. So I think that there could be some really interesting connecting points there if that group size makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Also, I got really close to the screen because that's what happens in these calls as well, which is the worst. Just like, hey, everyone. I know that's fine.
Anybody else? We've been doing this since 8 a.m., Chanel. So
No.
everybody's a little bit burnt out.
You guys are saints. You guys are saints. I can't even. Whew.
Well, they've had breaks built in, but
Still, that's amazing.
And yesterday too. Don't forget all
And
that.
yesterday too, 2 days in a row.
Convocation meetings. Yeah.
Y'all need a weekend. Y'all need the weekend. It's time.
Oh no, it's this weekend. This whole week has been crazy emails from really, panicking students, and it's my email. I'm checking my email like at least once an hour, trying to calm people down. Like, it's okay, guys, we're gonna make it through.
Yeah. The reminder of like, you're not the only one. We're all going to get through it together. Like, no one's expecting you to solve it right now. Like, yeah, it's keeping the calm, I think, is probably, as leaders and those in front of others, that's the best thing you can do. Like, just don't panic. We'll find a way, So kudos to you guys. This is exhausting stuff. I know it's just not as fun, but we'll make it work. And I love the chat. It's so good. Okay.
Anybody else? Come on, don't be shy. I know you guys aren't shy.
I think they're just done. It's very possible.
Could be.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make a comment. I am non-faculty. I work in the public information office, and we have really had to pivot our promotions and rethink how we promote the college. And I just want to thank all the faculty here. I mean, we had over 500 faculty that did online training over the summer. I'm sure people don't feel like they got a break. And next week is going to be, pretty historic for us. And for many other colleges as well. But we have amazing faculty, and I really appreciate all of them and all they do. And just by virtue of how many here on this meeting, very progressive minded people, which you need now in this day and age. So I just want to thank everyone, and we're going to get through this, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think nonprofits and teachers keep the world running and never get enough credit. So you guys are the real saints. I remember graduating art school and being like, I just don't think I can be a teacher. I just don't think I can do it. And I've done guest lectures and things like that. And I have dear friends who are professors and teachers. And it really is one of the most powerful positions that we have in the country, and one of the most influential. So you guys don't get enough credit, but you are making things happen left and right and giving students the opportunities to be the next great problem solvers, which we're going to need a lot of going forward. So I will second the thank you, because I'm tired thinking about it, you guys. It's an amazing field.
Okay, if there's no more questions, Christopher sent me a couple of videos that I'd like to play for you. And I've never done video through Zoom before. I've learned this week that I'm not the Zoom expert that I thought.
Oh,
so
technology will undo us.
Things go wrong. Can you just see my YouTube?
You've started screen sharing. Now we can see your screen. Well, that was fun. I haven't seen that one in a little bit. It's our Take Care app.
And then I got this one. Can you still see my screen?
We can.
Fabulous.
We started in our hometown. The idea was to use tech to fix Fresno. It felt natural. Teach our neighbors to code, surround them with good places to work, and put all of it inside of a building everyone could be proud of. That would definitely make things better, right? Everyone thought we were nuts. I mean, they kind of had a point, but we did it anyway. Then a couple of people showed up and took classes, and they were as good as we hoped they'd be. And almost immediately, companies wanted to be around that. The energy was just magic. A little building turned into a big building turned into a bunch of big buildings, and all of a sudden, it was 5 years later, and we were doing it. It was working, and people started to notice. People got interested and excited and invited us to come talk in their towns. They wanted to show us the people and the places that they cared about. And at first, we didn't care about those things. But then we started to a little bit. I mean, here's this town that we never thought twice about as we drove past. And we're meeting people that felt and looked like the folks we cared about so deeply back home. They had this proud history too, right? Dolores and Buck, oil and ag, and their challenges, they just felt super familiar. And these are people we'd want to work alongside to better their city. And before we knew it, it was a Bitwise Bakersfield. And then we thought we were done, until everything starts to open up in this little city 45 minutes north. Again, I mean, we don't know anything about this place, but something's happening there. How these people land to UC? They're building what in their downtown? If you guys did all of that, man, we think we got a bit of value to add to this, like a fork in the road in Merced. It feels like Bitwise could really matter in Fresno, and in Bakersfield, and in Merced. It feels like we can do something important, something that allows all of us to enjoy the best versions of our hometowns.
Oh man, you guys, we put that out in March and then the world imploded. So the good news is, and before, send you guys off, but we are still moving forward with expansion. We are still building teams. We are still putting buildings together. So we haven't stopped. And I watch that and my heart just like breaks a little bit, which I'm sure when you guys like think about your classrooms and stuff like that, it's like, oh, just like right here. But we're not stopping. So we know that there will be a time when this all comes back together in some way, and looking forward to that. So thank you guys so much. This was so much fun for me just to even hang out with people I don't get to see every day, like I'm looking at the same screens all the time. So this was awesome. Okay, lose Susie.
Yes. So the session goes to 3:45.
Oh.
So we're going to stay on to 3:45. But if you want to log off, don't worry. You're going to get full flex credit for the entire hour and 15 minutes. But if you want to stick around and have a more personal one-on-one chat with Chanel, please feel free to do so. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, faculty. Good luck on Monday. Good luck with your students. As President Goldsmith said, be kind, be flexible, be amazing.
So good. Thank you, guys.
So yeah, we'll just stay on, Chanel, in case anybody wants to.
I thought it was 3:30. I was like, oh, I'm 2 minutes over. These guys are going to kill me. But yeah, no, that's fine. And no one has to hang out if they don't want to. I get it. It's Friday.
I'd like to ask a bazillion questions.
Oh. Sure.
I work with I've worked with the Adile program for 10 years, which is an all African American program, and UCA, which is United Southeast Asian American program, for longer than that. Excuse me. What you gave me a name. Can I get a number? Excuse me.
Oh yeah.
Choking here.
So
And
I'm gonna.
I would really like to start dialoguing about how we can take some students and get them excited about some of your the things that you offer, and hook them up. If not for the programs, but to volunteer or to do something.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna.
Sorry.
Pull this up. Okay, this is, I'm going to share Danita Ramos, like I said, is the executive director of Geekwise Academy. So I'm going to go ahead and drop her name and number down here.
Okay.
So if anyone else wants to grab it. So her cell should be right there on the bottom. And then I'll drop her email. So she's the one. So if you guys like all things Geekwise, she's the one.
Okay, and I also wanted to throw in, I loved Darcy's idea because one of the at-risk communities that I work with the most is deaf students on campus, and we're seeing some great additions with interpreters for the Zoom meetings and everything, but I would like to see it explode. And I'd like to see our deaf students have opportunities that haven't been given to them at Fresno City before. Right,
Yeah.
Darcy? Yes, yes.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, and I'm gonna get the. I'm gonna find the app for Pod Up Now. Good. Here's the Pod Up Now. If you have kids or folks that you want to, find parenting resources, podupnow.com. Is there. And then the Take Care program is still running. And with our partnership with the food bank is still going. So folks who basically need any grocery delivery or need to pick up groceries as folks are, going through the unemployment crisis, like that is available to them at no charge. And you don't have to have a certain employment qualification or enter too much personal information. Also, we deal with a lot of migrant families. And so if folks are worried about sharing personal information in any sort of database, they can reach out to us directly, and we will facilitate groceries getting to them without them sharing their personal information. So that's something we've actually seen quite a bit with just a lot of the immigration concerns lately, and we don't want to exclude those families. So if you do know of anyone or any communities that could benefit even from a larger food drop or donation, maybe it's a church community or a farming community or just a neighborhood that you're familiar with or one of your students is familiar with, we can actually coordinate a larger grocery delivery at no cost. So that's also something to keep in mind for folks as well. I'm trying to think what else. And then, let's see. And then this is, let's see. And then this is Onward CA. So if you've lost your job, if your students are looking for work, if you just want to share it, that is the website there. And so we are updating it daily. So as new job postings come in from all different sources, they are getting connected there. It is a resource that is in Colorado and New Jersey and a few other states as well, which is the Onward US platform, but this is specifically for California. So you can share this with your students as well.
Chanel, which was the food delivery? You
Yep.
said Pot Up is for parents?
Pot Up is for parents. That's if you're trying to find another family to pot up with for childcare or just socialization. Let me get you the Take Care.
Take Care.
One. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it looks like food bank. Let's see here. I'm going to send you, I think, the food bank one if it is going to let me. Because that way they can either schedule a pickup, so if they'd like to pick up directly from the food bank, or order groceries. So either one. Let's see. Oh, yes. Central. They also, the food bank website, I'm going to send you the link to the form. So if they want to fill out the form, this is the link for that. There's also what's called, which we custom built this for the food bank as well. It's called a food locator map, and that gets updated regularly as well. So if you want to find a pantry or a distribution site, the food locator can show you up to date locations to be able to pick up food distribution.
Okay.
And then any general questions.
Oh, wait.
Let's see.
Susie, is she still here?
Yes.
When you, where are you going to post the video for this? Will the chat also be posted?
Yes.
Great. So I don't need to write all this down.
Can just go right back. And again, if you just, and feel free to email me directly and say, hey, can you just give me all these links? Or, hey, I really want these things. Or is this the right place? I'm happy to answer any and all questions going forward, or a week from now after y'all settle into classes. You know, we're going to be doing things for a while. So happy to connect at any point. And I'm going to tell Jake that you were here. I'm so excited about that.
Tell him Karen Crockett. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And I'm going to show my husband this video too.
Yes.
So the session recordings, we need to do some editing, and I've got 17 of them. And actually, I'm taking vacation next week because you guys don't do professional development the first week of school. So that's my chance to take a break. But we'll have them up within a couple of weeks. Okay. Where we're posting them, we're not sure yet, but we will be posting them along with the chat transcripts.
And Susie, if you could send that to me as well, that would be super helpful.
Absolutely, not a problem.
Thank you.
Chanel, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for ending our day. It was a fabulous session. I'm so glad I volunteered to facilitate this one. It's been a joy having you here. Like I said, I know your coworker Sal very well, and because of the partnership between FCC and Bitwise, we feel a connection, and I feel that connection even more. Yay. Thank you, everybody who joined us, and get some rest and get ready for Monday.
Best of luck, everybody. Guys. Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Oh my God.